In March 2019, something unbelievable happened. Apple Music and iTunes suddenly showed an entire new Rihanna album on their charts. It was called Angel, and the credits listed the artist as Fenty Fantasia. Fans freaked out. Had Rihanna quietly dropped the follow-up to Anti? Sadly, no. An unknown user had uploaded a bootleg of demos and unreleased songs that had been floating around the internet for years. Because it was disguised as legitimate, the album actually debuted at number 67 on the worldwide iTunes albums chart. Platforms quickly pulled it down, but the incident exposed something intriguing. Even a bootleg Rihanna project could generate chart-worthy excitement. This wasn't an isolated glitch. Throughout the last decade, leaked tracks by pop icons have sparked pandemonium online. The real question is, how many of those songs might have become blockbusters if they'd been released properly? To find out, we need to sift through 3 of the wildest leak stories in modern pop. And the journey starts with a scrapped album from a British pop rebel. Charli XCX's lost album. Charlotte Aitchison, better known as Charli XCX, had been riding high on the success of Boom Clap when she started crafting her 3rd studio album. The project was rumored to be called XCX World, and its lead single, After the After Party, felt like the perfect introduction. Charli poured months into studio sessions and teased snippets on social media, hinting at a futuristic pop universe. Then, the unthinkable happened. Her entire 3rd album leaked online, track by track. The rest of the songs surfaced the following year. Fans were thrilled to hear the material, but for Charli, it was a creative catastrophe. With the album circulating in unfinished form, she felt the magic had been stolen. Rather than release a compromised project, she made the painful choice to scrap XCX World altogether. Charli later explained that those songs weren't meant to be consumed as a scattered leak. They belonged to a cohesive world that the leak had broken. This kind of leak doesn't just ruin a surprise, it can derail months of planning, budgets, and marketing. But one particular song from that lost era refused to die. Girls' Night Out. Among the leaked tracks was Girls' Night Out, an upbeat, club-ready bop that Charli had been performing live as early as 2015. When it appeared in the leak, fans latched onto it. They uploaded live versions and low-quality rips, begging for a proper release. Charli teased the track at concerts and parties, but she held back an official release for years. The leak may have forced her to pivot on the album, yet it also revealed how badly her fans wanted carefree dance floor pop. After years of clamoring, Charli finally dropped the polished studio version of Girls' Night Out in 2018. By then, the song's mythology had only grown.
Beyoncé's Grown Woman. Picture this. Beyoncé partners with Pepsi in 2013, and a commercial called Mirrors features a minute-long snippet of an infectious news song. It's called Grown Woman. Fans immediately want the full track. Beyoncé performs it live on her Mrs. Carter Show World Tour and at the Time for Change concert, but when they scour streaming services for the song, it isn't there. Behind the scenes, a leak frenzy is brewing. According to Wikipedia's summary of the era, several unofficial versions of Grown Woman appeared on streaming services after the Pepsi campaign. In May and August 2013, USA Today and other outlets reported that the original version had fully leaked. Music Times described a cleaned-up, high-quality studio version that surfaced online, noting that there was no official word from Beyoncé on whether the song would be released. For years, the leaked versions circulated in varying quality. Fans made their own edits, DJs played unauthorized remixes, and the mystique grew. The leak fueled speculation about Beyoncé's unreleased sessions and the surprise drop culture she would later perfect. But unlike Charli XCX, Beyoncé didn't respond by scrapping the track, she simply sat on it. The result? Grown Woman became a legend, a ghost song that fans sought out at concerts and on shady file-sharing sites. If Beyoncé had dropped it in 2013, there's little doubt it would have been a hit. Instead, she left us waiting for years. And if you think the story ends there, you haven't heard what happened 10 years later. Beyoncé finally releases Grown Woman. A decade after the leak, Beyoncé pulled a move that felt almost like a wink to longtime fans. On December 13, 2023, exactly 10 years after she surprise released her self-titled visual album, she quietly released Grown Woman on streaming platforms. The release coincided with the 10th anniversary of the album that changed how artists roll out music. At that point, the song had been circulating in leaked form for so long that many people assumed it would never receive an official release. Yet when it finally arrived, it felt less like new music and more like the closing of a loop. The sound, a mix of Afrobeat, Moombahton, and female empowerment lyrics, had aged gracefully. The fact that it still resonated after a decade underscores something crucial about leaks. Sometimes a leak track remains timeless, regardless of when it surfaces. But not every leak story gets a happy ending. Our final case starts with a hunger for new music and ends with a bootlegged chart entry. Before we get to the consequences, let's examine the most audacious leak of them all, the Fenty Fantasia fiasco. Rihanna has kept her navy waiting for a new album since 2016's Anti. In the vacuum of official music, fans have scoured the internet for leaks and demos. That environment set the stage for one of the wildest episodes in leak history. In early 2019, a person posing as Rihanna uploaded an album called Angel under the alias Fenty Fantasia on iTunes and Apple Music. According to reports, the record wasn't a genuine leak, but a bootleg collection of demos and unreleased tracks. Despite its unauthorized origins, the album was polished enough to fool casual listeners, and the hunger for new Rihanna music was so intense that even the bootleg debuted at number 67 on the worldwide iTunes albums chart before being pulled. The episode illustrates how a vacuum of official releases can allow fake content to flourish and even chart. Rihanna herself appeared to react with amusement rather than anger. But the underlying lesson is sobering. When fans are starved, leaks and bootlegs can fill the gap and muddy the waters. It's impossible to know how those songs would have performed if they'd been released with proper promotion. As with Charli and Beyoncé, the leak created myth and curiosity. It also highlighted how easily platforms can be gamed. So why do these leaks keep happening, and could the songs have been hits? Let's wrap this up with some reflections.
The double-edged sword of leaks. What unites the stories of Charli XCX, Beyoncé, and Rihanna is the paradox of leaks. On one hand, leaks can destroy an artist's plans. When XCX World leaked, Charli felt robbed of her ability to present the music on her terms. She scrapped an entire album. Leaks can also make labels nervous, leading to delays or cancellations. On the other hand, leaks can build hype. The early leak of Beyoncé's Grown Woman turned a promotional jingle into a mythical track that still resonated when it finally dropped. And the Fenty Fantasia incident proves that fan hunger can propel even unauthorized compilations onto charts. Would these songs have gone platinum if they'd been released immediately? It's impossible to say for certain. Charli's leaked tracks might have been ahead of their time. Perhaps the leak gave fans a glimpse of a world that was too futuristic for 2017. Grown Woman could have been a summer smash in 2013, but releasing it in 2023 still gave fans closure. Rihanna's bootleg demonstrates that the appetite for her music remains enormous. A true Rihanna album would likely dominate charts. What's clear is that leaks alter the trajectory of songs. They create legends, they inspire fan campaigns, and sometimes they force artists to scrap and rebuild. The tale of pop leaks reads like a choose-your-own-adventure novel. Charli XCX lost an entire record, but salvaged a fan favorite. Beyoncé watched her song spread like wildfire and turned the leak into a decade-long tease. Rihanna's absence spawned an underground bootleg that briefly stormed the charts. These stories remind us that pop music exists in a delicate balance between artistic control and fan curiosity. Leaks disrupt that balance, sometimes ruining a rollout, sometimes fueling a legend. They also hint at an alternate universe where these songs were properly promoted and perhaps went platinum. In the end, the mystery is part of the appeal. Pop leaks will keep happening as long as there are fans hungry for more. And while artists may cringe at unauthorized releases, sometimes the leaks themselves ensure the music lives on. That tension between secrecy and exposure is what keeps pop culture fascinating, and why a bootleg album, a scrapped world, and a decade-old jingle can still capture our imagination years later.